Last episode of the year. We're gonna have Doug or Dan. I'll start over. Last episode of the year. We're gonna have Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Dan Shirley. It's gonna be awesome. I hope he can commit for an hour and a half because I want to like really make sure we leave it all out there on the table. Which he'll probably do because we're buds. And that'll be the
Easy.
first episode of the year. Hopefully, we come in hot, blast that thing everywhere. Really just say, hey, we're here. And then let's see what kind of doors that opens in terms of getting more guests. All right. We are here. Episode 11. Tech packs are due. I am Jake Regini, senior footwear designer, doing my thing. And we have, as always, the Colin, the guy who knows more about me than more than me about shoes, who is on the outside looking in, but making waves, making progress, doing good stuff.
Making
Um,
moves.
Always being crafty,
Mm-hmm.
which is what you like to see. Which is, you know, that's kind of how you get in. You just keep telling people you want in, and eventually your name gets drawn.
Keep
I
at it.
think that's how it works. Nah, that's probably not how it
Yeah.
works.
What do they? You always tell gamblers that 90% of gamblers quit right before they make it big.
Oh yeah. Like yeah, it's funny because it's like I think about that sometimes. Like if something I don't know if I'm sketching and I just feel like I can't do it and I'm just drawing crap all day. Um, I always think, well, you know what? I never know. Next tomorrow, I might wake up and draw the next one. Like it might be like the next banger might come out from my hand. Just, just random. Might just who knows? You just keep going until you unlock it.
Exactly.
Like something just clicks. Like I think, or even just like the information sinks in a little deeper. Something that you're going for. It's like you never want to quit. Like
Mm-hmm.
um you reread the brief again and like words come out like what's that uh national treasure or
Oh.
something like, like and all of a sudden stuff just starts clicking together. Yeah, like you never know, you just keep going.
I was just thinking of like The Hangover when Zach Galifianakis is like counting cards.
Yeah. Or like a little old school psych with like
Oh yeah,
what's his
the
name is like looking at stuff and it's
Sean.
like and
That's so
you
funny you
get
bring
that.
that up. My
Yeah.
wife is upstairs watching that right now.
Ah, it's classic. My wife was watching it the other day too, and I was like,
It still holds up.
"Cool,
It's
cool."
a good show, man. It's a good
Yeah,
like put it on, do some chores kind of show. I
yeah.
think.
The man, when I was in college, they had like watch parties for like
Yeah,
the final season. I was like, not into it
dude.
that much.
Someone reserves like a lecture hall, puts it on the big screen.
Yeah. I was like,
I remember those.
I remember I was dating a girl and like went over to the like some house that I'd never been before, and like I'm sitting in between her and like some other person, and I'm like, I really not that big of a fan here. Like I'm not like committed enough to be like wedged in a couch like doing this. Like anyway. Well, cool. Welcome back, all you people. We have almost 40 subscribers at the moment. Um,
Yeah.
and we still haven't advertised very much. So, not too shabby. I saw some people shout out that they like the name, which is like kind of good because I bounced between a couple names, and honestly, this one only carried the weight I think that being a footwear designer carries. Like, oh man, when you hear tech packs are due, or like just any kind of due date, really, you're like,
Yeah.
like designers. I don't know what it is. Designers and due dates. Not,
Putting a timeline on creativity is always a bit of a damper.
yeah. Because you're always like, well, I think, what if the next best thing is tomorrow. Kind of like what we just talked about.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like, what if the sketch doesn't come to me today?
yeah, like, yeah.
Right.
What if it's not? What if I'm off or didn't get enough sleep last night, and you know
I think
everything affects it.
there's like a little like almost TMZ interview floating around on YouTube of like someone like talking to Tinker Hatfield at like an airport, and they're like, Tinker, like, what's your least favorite Jordan? And he's like, talks about the 15, and he's like,
Yeah.
I just don't think I had enough time to get that one across the finish line. And I think about that all the time. It's like, of course, it was
Yep.
definitely the timeline.
Yeah. And you feel for him, right? Except
Absolutely.
I don't know if I do. He's got it. He's got it pretty made. But he had to work. You know what? Like he probably went through it for sure.
Oh yeah.
It was like any one of us has to go through it. Um Anyway, yeah, so good stuff. We are so excited. Colin and I talk all the time about this show and like how do we make it the best possible. And so anyone who's watching, just know that we are thinking about it all the time. We really feel like we have the kind of the ability here to kind of change the conversation around footwear design. There could be a point at some point in time where Colin is working for a brand and I'm working for a different brand. And, uh, technically we should be competitive, right? Like,
Right.
technically speaking, but I don't think that like that's like the conversation needs to be had anymore. Like, especially with the state of kind of footwear and in general, think there's just so much on the market today, and
Hmm.
you can tell. I think there's a level of ability that's being brought across the industry and like all this stuff. I'm just trying to make it a more friendlier environment. If that's not your thing, that's fine. Some people like competition or whatever. That's not like what I want in my life. I've got a lot going on. Um, I'm
Yeah.
just trying to talk to the people who want to be creative because I feel like when I was at BYU, I unlocked a certain level of collaboration with
Yeah.
people who I like, especially in the freshman year, with people I should be like competing against for
Right.
a spot. Like this is my future. And technically, you want to beat them, but at
Hmm.
the same time, you almost can't survive without them.
Right.
Um, which is why I love the game of Survivor. We haven't talked about that. I have applied several times and will continue to apply. Um, Point about that is like you build a community, right? And they help you succeed, and your success depends on them. Their success depends on you. It's kind of hard to say, but essentially, like, um, I just think it's fun, right? It's a job. It's essentially kids at candy stores getting to make the candy, and because basically, if you're in it, you love it. Um, I don't know anyone who's being a footwear designer who hates shoes. Like, doesn't make any sense.
100%.
But I mean, I have met some people who, by the end of their career, was like, "Get me out of this," which is
But
fine.
it doesn't ever start there. It usually doesn't start
Yeah,
there.
yeah, no kidding, right? So it's like it's all good. Um, anyway, so this episode, cool. Actually had some interesting experiences this last week that's kind of inspired this episode. You know, Colin and I are not writers. We are just creatives. So literally, like, I'm trying to write this not on the go, but like picking up pieces here and there week over week that I'm like, oh, I should put this one in, or just like I have ideas on the fly, and then we're like, okay, let's slot this one in this week, and um, really just trying to be honest and blunt with everybody what we're doing here. Like,
Yeah.
so we see stuff, and sometimes things drop that we think are cool, and we're like, oh, let's talk about that. But we also have things come up that make fun episodes. So for this one, um, Dougie Fresh came through. We got
Ooh,
some shoes to open live. I
Dougie
have not,
Doug.
yeah. Dougie Doug, I have not opened this pair of shoes. That is literally, I opened the bag and then put them right here.
Okay.
So we're gonna be live on that, and then got some other things to talk about. some shoes that we saw this week that are cool. We might reverse the order actually. Do the Dougie Fresh shoe after we talk about some stuff. But then at the end of it, we're going to talk about different functions within footwear. So you got design, development. This kind of seems like 101 stuff, but I don't know. I had someone ask, like, well, what's the difference? And this dude is an industrial designer. And I
Ooh.
was like, it seems like you should know the difference. And he was like, I do not, because footwear operates a little differently than industrial design,
Yep.
um, which is pretty crazy. So didn't realize that, having not used my industrial design degree to industrial design like normal people. Um, anyway, so I want to start off by talking about a little inspiration. I just think this is a cool industry to be in, and I think that's what keeps me coming back. Is I saw this thing literally just before we started this episode. I was scrolling the gram, which we're going to try to have more of a presence on. Give us time. We've got
Go give us a
plans.
follow.
Yeah, hey, give us a follow. We got plans. Um, but essentially, like this kid made the fifth grade basketball team, and I guess his stepdad bought him a bunch of shoes. Um, and like not just any shoes, like he bought him like some for real like Kobe's, just like sick basketball shoes. I'm pretty sure AEs were in there, and the kid comes up and it's just like floored, right? Um, and like, what other product do you know, with the exception of like handing a kid like a PS5?
Yeah.
You know, what other product do you know that's gonna just like show up and elicit that kind of reaction, and
Right.
also then build a bond between
Mm-hmm.
people?
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
and I just think it's just amazing to be in this industry and to talk about shoes in this way, and share some of the joy we feel. And again, like, I don't think any one of us pick up the pen. At least, like, I know when I'm thinking about, like, I don't know Eric Avar, but when I see the Kobe, it was like the Kobe 6 or Kobe 7 was one of the shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that the dad bought the kid. And it's like, I don't think he originally picked up the shoe thinking, well, this is going to, blow some kid's mind someday.
Yeah.
And then to see that happen, or, even see like, take it over to Brooks, like these shoes, like you put them on people's feet and like they realize they can run again, like they
Yeah.
realize
Yeah.
they can like do things, and that they
My
couldn't do, like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a superpower and adaptation.
yeah,
There's like just elicits this sort of response in you too. Like I always think of like my 9-year-old self like going to sleep with my new shoes on
yep,
before the first day of school, because I was just
yeah,
so stoked. You get one pair of shoes for the school year. It's like, you know, it's like a fresh set of skin almost. It's like
right,
it's just amazing feeling.
yeah. I
Um,
remember opening my first like Jordan 12s, and I
mhm,
was in like fourth or fifth grade. Back then, it wasn't as cool to have the previous year's model because the 13 had come out, and
right.
I was walking around in 12s, and so it wasn't like super cool, but it was still like pretty amazing to like
Yeah.
have the jump man like on my,
Yeah.
while he's, he still has a year or so left in the league, like, and I'm walking around. It was just like,
And like that your
yeah,
parents hooked you up like that. Jordans aren't cheap,
yeah,
that your parents like hooked it up, man.
yeah. And there was no like now it's like, oh, I know a guy who knows a guy who I can like,
Yeah.
at least get a bit of a discount,
Right.
like, whereas my dad, I didn't know anybody. Like, I'm not even sure how my mom got them. I don't know how she even knew about them. Like,
She
um,
just made childhood dreams happen.
yeah, like they didn't. It's not like they were like listening to me. Like,
Yeah.
like I love these shoes. They like whatever, and then they show up, and I'm like, man, that it was crazy. But just seeing the kid like just floored, seeing like it was like four pairs of like legit basketball shoes. And for a
Yeah.
fifth grader, it's like, I don't think I would do that. I might get
Mm-hmm.
one, maybe two, but like when you're seeing 4 or 5 up there, you're like, man, like that's a shoe game. That's a rotation for a kid. And
It's like being a walk-on freshman at the University of Oregon, like walking
yeah,
up to your locker room for the first time. Like, have you seen those videos? They've got like all their gear for the year for the season.
yeah,
Like it probably feels like that for that kid. Fifth grade basketball season is about to be amazing.
yeah. It's like, yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's an industry that is certainly inspiring. So yeah, I just want to get the designers out from behind the curtain a little bit, and like understand like how awesome it is. So I just saw that and I was like, man, that's legit. Um, that's the power shoes, man. And
Especially with the holidays coming around.
yeah, and
I,
that's what.
I there's
Oh,
that
keep going.
video of the kid like in '87 opening a pair of Air Max. He's like, "Oh my gosh, Air
Yeah,
Max!"
yeah, and that's the power. It's like, it keeps me going for sure. Like,
Yeah,
okay, like if I get these lines right, it does matter. Like people
yeah,
are going to be pumped. Not just bosses, not just a company, but the people who eventually put the shoes on.
yeah.
Um, and kind of a shout out to say happy holidays, right? Like, like
Gift
happy
gift that
holidays,
loved
Merry
one in your
Christmas.
life.
Yeah.
Give that loved one in your life a pair of shoes. It'll change their day.
Oh, that's right. It's not really working anymore with my wife because I've given her quite a bit. She's kind of like, hey, if you were thinking shoes this year, I'm good. Like,
That's so funny because I always default like there's always at least one pair, but definitely two pair every year for Christmas. Um,
nice.
so this year it's like because my wife is a doctor, she's on her feet all day, so it's definitely tailored towards that.
Oh,
No
nice.
surprises, but want to keep it a
Okay.
surprise.
Hopefully, hopefully she's not watching this.
She's not. She's not.
Oh man. Maybe I should say hopefully she does watch this. we need as
we'll
many
pull it.
views as we can get.
We'll pull it up on
Oh
the
man.
on the TV for date night.
Yeah, yeah. So sweet. Anyway, power shoes, great. Next thing, shoes I'm excited about. I know I just like we last week, maybe it was last week or the last episode before that, kind of threw Nike under the bus because I talked about like the release calendar and just being like, "Ooh, I'm not feeling any of those for
Yeah, yeah.
December." I did kind of open the sneakers app and look at the University Blue or Carolina Blue 11
Mm-hmm.
release, and I was like, eh. But like they do 11s like for December like every year.
Yeah, yeah. It's like the
It's kind of
classic.
yeah. It's like man, when I got married, it was 72 and 10. It was like
Oh
the
yeah.
patent leather was all like had like multicolor kind of
Mm-hmm.
glistening. It was super cool. I bought them. Didn't have a lot of money. It's kind of a dumb thing to buy at the time because I was like, oh, I think I only have like $500, but
Guess half that's going to some shoes.
but I rep those hard. Like
Yeah.
uh, honeymoon, a couple dates out, being married. I rep 72 and 10s like around town.
Heck
Um,
yeah.
but that's not what I was gonna say. I saw that Chicago lows are coming back for 2025,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the lows in general with
Mm-hmm.
the OG cut swoosh.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I was gonna
and
say
I
that it has
saw
to be the OG cut.
yeah, that's like ridiculous. Whenever I see without the OG cut, you're like, did I even get it? Like, we don't want any new things. We want the original thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so it looks like the Nigel lows. Did you see those?
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I was like, I don't have any connection to Nigel, so me personally, I don't think I'd get those. But just that's the power of color, man. It's
Oh
like
yeah.
just black on like off white, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
man, that's intense. Like with
Mm-hmm.
like an extra swoosh and maybe some red in there, kind of thrown in.
Yeah.
Um, super legit.
Yeah, the
You know,
85
a
lows are solid.
yeah, yeah, A plus for them. But man, Chicago lows. Like, so here's what happened. Um, Back when like the Jordan 1 like just started to peak, like, and when I
Mm-hmm.
say peak, it went like this. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it
Yeah, yeah.
was
It
like
was
a
like a
south.
straight line.
It, yeah, it was like, what was it, 2018,
2017.
20, yeah,
Yeah.
17, something like that. It was just like, whoop, and like, the Chicago lows were like those ones that sat at like on sale for like, you can get them
I
for like
I,
$70.
I got a
Yeah.
pair for $60. I remember.
Yeah. And I
Like
was like,
I called sick out of work, and then I decided I was gonna go to Dallas for like a day.
right?
And I went to Center. Shout out Center 214. All the
Nice.
good people over at Center. My man
Nice.
T. But I went over there and they had them sitting, and I was like, "You guys have these in a 13, actually?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah, they're on sale right now. They're $60." I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get those." And it was at the time where it was like, "Dude, you're broke if you have lows. Like lows
Yeah.
suck. Even the 85 cut." But
Yeah.
they did a good job on those, and I rocked those to death. In fact, I think I
Those.
still have them. I turned them into like a fake bootleg um, off white.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Shoot. That's awesome.
Yeah,
No, I'm super jealous actually. Like even you telling me that, like I'm like feeling it right now. Like
yeah.
I am way jealous of like I just man, like I went to go buy them because um I was like telling my buddy I went to pencil with. I was like, "Hey man, like I was actually asking him if he had, because he had a connect at somewhere and he was
Hmm.
getting like highs for, he could just get whichever ones he wants. I was like, hey, you got any Chicago lows sitting around? He's like, actually, no. And like, man, it was like within a week, it was like they went from like $100 to like 250 to
Yeah.
like 500. And it was like,
Hmm.
oh, like clean, like DS
Hmm.
Chicago lows were like $1,500. And I was like, what just
Jeez,
happened?
what just
And
happened?
And like I was like, man, like I said it, and all of a sudden it's here. Like, and
Yeah.
what I can only imagine was people were saying like, look, I can't get ones for a good price. Maybe if I try the lows as well. And it just felt like there's just like this shift from like highs to lows or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It mostly stayed high, but anyway, so I am pumped. Like if that's good, if that's true, I'm like, please just give it back to me in true form. Like, do not bring any new things to it.
Hmm.
Nike, if you listen, if anyone from Nike has made it 20 minutes into this podcast, for the love, do not, please do
They're
not.
already made, dude. They're in a shipping
I,
container somewhere.
yeah, it's over. Yeah, it's already over. That's right.
But
If
if you're
it's,
listening and you work at Jordan Brand or Nike, Jacob wears, what do you wear, Jake? What size do you wear? 10
I
and a
am
half?
size 9.
A size 9.
I am
Sample
sample
size. I know
size.
you have one kicking around the office. Somebody behind the berm, send Jake a
Jeez.
LinkedIn message. He'll send you his address.
Just
He can stop by
please.
Beaverton. He lives in Portland.
Yeah.
He can stop by the campus to pick him up. You don't even have to ship.
Yeah. For the love, just give me some OG Chicago lows. I'll take 2 pairs. I'll take them. I'll take all of them. Whatever you got. Oh man. But I just love them, and I'm excited to get them back. Um, next up, and I don't get Colin going too much on this because we're rolling into this episode. We're deep, and we haven't talked about any informational things. um, but man, it looks like the Pegasus Plus might be a decent runner.
Might be a winner. Yeah,
Um,
Believe in the Run released a
yeah,
bit of like a review. Obviously, they've had the shoe for a little bit. Did some nice running tests like they do, and it seems like it's coming in as a winner, man. Nike, I didn't really realize this. I should have watched more of the TRE coverage that they did, but Nike's kind of repositioning their training lineup, their
yeah,
daily trainer lineup to have kind of like your max cushion, and
right.
then the stable ride, and then like their responsive kind of more standard ride, which I think is going to be really cool. I think it's going to clear a lot of things up for consumers. I think the people who love the Infinity React and the Invincible Run are going to maybe miss out a little bit, because those lines apparently are kind of like dying but being reborn in other ways through
Hmm.
the kind of like categorization that they're doing.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like they're it's like iPhones. There's like the base and then the plus and then the premium that they're gonna do in every line, which is
Right.
interesting. That's coming from like the mattress industry, working at Purple for so many years. Like that's exactly how you strategize with mattresses too. Like so that there's a clear consumer story.
Right.
Um, it's very navigable online and stuff. But yeah,
I, I don't.
Pegasus Plus, Pegasus Premium seems like it's going to be a winner, man. I'm excited to run in it.
Every time someone brings up that they're repositioning their whole line and all that stuff, I'm just like, you mean like the thing that every running
Shoe brand
shoe
has been
brand
doing
has
for
done?
years. Yeah,
Yeah, like wait, like why is this novel? Like people like they bring it up and like people are like, oh, very smart,
very
and I'm
smart.
like,
Nike is really doing that.
like, you mean they just kind of like we're walking along and they just like hit asics.com and we're like, wait, you mean like
That's so funny.
everyone's been doing speed and cushion and separating it out and doing a premium and like yeah, okay. Like gosh. But like Nike breaks in, it's like news. It's like big news. You're like, man, that's so funny. But
It's
yeah,
like
I'm,
Apple. It's like Apple. Apple does the same thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Apple's like, wait, what's the Galaxy doing? Oh, yeah, we got that. Oh my gosh.
It's not about doing it first. It's about doing it well.
That's right. And making the graphic look pretty okay. Like, like,
Yeah, that graphic that they put up is yeah.
yeah.
I like the dots that they used. It's cool.
Yeah. But like, I think what I like too is, they are, yeah, I don't know. It's nice to see that they might have a runner that like outside of the super trainers that,
Yeah,
is doing something good.
I
I'm
mean,
still skeptical, but whatever.
I get you.
That's me.
I know that there's people out there that like to say that Zoom is like decades old technology or whatever, but it is so good. Zoom Air is so good, and I
Yeah.
will die on that hill. I will
Dude.
die on that hill to let people know that Zoom is so good and it deserves
Yeah.
to still be here after decades, and it's been around for decades because it is so good.
Yeah. Um, is the Strobel Zoom Air when they did the Zoom Air Strobel?
Um,
Is
no,
that what?
I don't think they've done the Strobel Zoom Air on anything other than basketball shoes.
No, no, no. I mean like, but like the Strobel, it was a Zoom Air Strobel. Because I'll get behind that. Like that Strobel rocked.
Yeah, I mean,
Like,
could you imagine if the Pegasus Premium has like that full length Zoom bubble,
yeah.
and then a layer of Zoom X, and then a Zoom Air
Stro-
Strobel? Whoa!
It's
Watch out!
like how many
The
tech? How
Pegasus
much?
Premium Plus Plus
Yeah, how much tech can we pack into this thing? I just
stack
wonder.
height would be like 80 mils.
Yeah, I mean, the Strobel was this genius. Like,
Oh yeah, it's so
and
good.
when they put it in, like any basketball shoe they put it in, I'm like, I'm there. I'm like, yeah, that's the
Yeah.
one. Uh,
What's interesting about it is they kind of it was like a little hush hush, but really the Zoom Strobel was supposed to debut. It did debut officially on the KD
but yeah,
at the
yeah,
time of the KD 12, right?
yep,
And that was like kind of the big selling point was that it had the Zoom Strobel and then double stack in the heel with the Strobel
yeah.
and or whatever. But if you were tuned in, if you were locked in,
Oh boy,
the original Fear of God 1 that launched before the
yeah, yeah,
KD12
yeah.
had a Zoom Strobel.
Oh crap.
So it actually, Zoom Strobel debuted on the Fear of God 1, bringing back
Ah,
Fear of God from our last episode that we talked
that's
about.
right.
It debuted there before it debuted on the KD12, but they really made it a case to be like, it's with the KD12. They didn't really talk about it with the Fear of God 1.
Yeah, I need to grab someone and be like, fact check him. Is that true?
I think
But
it's true. I mean,
it was
feel free to fact check.
I think it came out KD 14 because
Was it KD14?
I had the 14 and I was like, this is insane. Because I was trying to bounce around to like a new basketball shoe.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing in like the Curry 4, which was like foam and rubber. And like,
Yeah.
but the rubber gripped like crazy. And I was like,
Yeah.
okay, well, and so I would like bounce around to different shoes and like nothing was beating it. But then the KD had crazy grip and then the
Mm-hmm.
Zoom Strobel. And I was like, I'm never playing on anything else. Like this is,
Shout out to Leo Chang.
yeah. And so I did KD 14 and then went to the 15. And then they took the Zoom Strobel out
Yeah.
every model since.
They were trying to do like an Air Max or like an airbag Strobel with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
PG at the time. The Paul
Yeah,
George
yeah,
at the
yeah.
time had like it was like an air, it was standard air unit.
Right.
Kind of looks like the one that they put in like the Air Monarch.
Yep. And
But
I
yeah.
tried the PG with the air, just
Mm-hmm.
regular air Strobel, and it was like, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It
But
is the KD12 where the Zoom Strobel
really,
first
man,
debuted.
two
Yep.
models before. I don't
Yeah.
even know what the 12 looks like.
I've got Leo Chang sketches up
Oh crap.
that say Zoom
KD12.
Strobel Construction KD12.
Oh, it was that one?
Yeah.
Huh.
And that was kind of cool because it was like fully encased foam, but then they cored out the foam underneath. You could see like holes
Yeah,
through
yeah,
it,
yeah.
but then
I
it like
remember.
allowed it to still compress, that kind of thing.
You know what? I still like that to this day. Like
It's a
the
good
the
shoe.
the cord out foam.
Mm-hmm.
They must have done something to it because I remember this shoe and I put it on and I was like, like not for me. Like I was like
Yeah.
really, I was pumped about the upper. I was
Mm-hmm.
pumped about the
Yeah.
bottom. I love
Yeah.
seeing the tech, like the
Yeah.
techs. Like I was like, man, this has got everything.
Yeah. I only
And
remember this because I worked at Foot Locker at the time. I sold a lot of these because I knew everything about them.
oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
like the black one came out. I was like, shoot, like this is sick. Um,
Yeah, I had
but
these
yeah,
like fibers underneath that were supposed to act like a Chinese finger trap. So like when you cut, they like tightened.
right. Yep,
Yeah.
yep, 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 yep. All right, we can
Love
talk about
those.
this all day.
Don't get me talking
Um,
about Zoom again.
yes. So Colin loves Air's Zoom Air, so that's go ahead and mark that down. Zoom, gosh, man, dude, it's like, look, like I try to tell people, like, other companies exist, man. Like, 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 Nike's all right, but yeah. Anyway, I was gonna say they never did super critical. They was like, nah, we're doing
No.
PIBA.
Yeah,
No
people
way.
only.
Um, and they probably hit that right too. But anyway, all right, let's do let's. The super critical is okay. It's not amazing anymore. It's crazy how fast it moves. Even though I've
Yeah.
got my I got my one of
Woo-hoo.
ones sitting here. I have to. I'm so part like okay. First off,
I was gonna say for the
for I,
people out there, let us know what that is.
for the people out there, this is our last episode of the year. We're gonna film Dan coming up. So maybe I should have said this at the start. Maybe I'll clip it, but at the beginning. Last episode of the year. We're gonna have Doug or Dan. I'll start over. Last episode of the year. We're gonna have Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Dan Shirley. It's gonna be awesome. I hope he can commit for an hour and a half because I want to like really make sure we leave it all out there on the table. Which he'll probably do because we're buds. And that'll be
Easy.
the first episode of the year. Hopefully we come in hot, blast that thing everywhere. Really just say, hey, we're here. And then let's see what kind of doors that opens in terms of getting more guests. Colin and I are trying to get guests in maybe once a month, just because it takes a fair amount of convincing to get people to come on the show.
Yeah.
Because these are normal people. It's not like they're celebrities. It's not like they're comedians and this is what they do all the time. I secretly have always wanted to be a stand-up, so I don't care. I want to be in front of the camera. I want to be talking, partly because I have some kind of complex where I think I'm funny. And so I will talk. So that's kind of like the order in which we're kind of going. So we're going to call it here, talk about some good stuff, and then push out to January. Then we're going to hit 2025 hard in a big way. And we're going to keep coming with the content and hopefully just try to improve every time.
Absolutely.
Um,
And if you're listening out there and you're in the industry and you want to share your viewpoint on how we can build a better community, be a
yeah,
guest on the show, please reach out, let us know, see if we can
yes,
fit you in.
yes, and basically, we also want to hear like everyone's kind of different in how they create. I'm
Mm-hmm.
so interested in that. Ooh, actually, there's another guy who said he would come on that I'm not gonna say the name, but another strong designer who said he would come on the show. I forgot until right now. So I will push for that. We got people coming. It's gonna be great. All right, so going on to the next little bit. Um, so I've got one of ones. One episode I want to do. It might be like a episode that we just kind of drop in, or like maybe like a 15-minute whatever. In my uh basement right under, or not basement, garage right under me is like 5 boxes, 6 boxes full of shoes. Each one has a story. I might just have a day where I might get like a little like attached mic and
Yeah.
just go and
Do a
set
little show
my
and tell.
yeah, just go in there and just start like bring the lighting down and just go for it.
Yeah, dude.
Um, and Colin can be on maybe kind of, I don't know. I'm just gonna pick up boxes and just start taking shoes out, basically because I don't know what I'm doing with something like 120 pairs of shoes down in the basement. Some are mine, some are not. I just have shoes that I like that from buddies that I was like, I'm grabbing this. Never thought I'd be podcasting it, but it makes for interesting stuff. So I do snag shoes because I'm a size 9. I also feel like I can because I could wear it. This is a colorway of the Ghost Max 2 that has come out, but they changed the colors just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Mainly this black logo with this like mean Brooks, like I don't know, something about black and red like always seems so aggressive. Like,
Yes,
but
yes, sir.
I love this for this one. For this just like tonal upper and then the mean. Like it makes a friendly shoe very not friendly really fast.
Right.
But I like it. I don't know. It's my one of one sitting on top of the. They might find their way into the background here in a little bit. Um, Fun stuff. I saw my beast was in the front window of Jay's wide shoes in Oregon.
Hey,
I I
you're
drove
walking
by and
down the
saw the.
street and you're like, "Whoa!"
I was like, "Hey, that's my shoe. That's my stuff." I pulled over, man. I stood out in front, had my wife take
Took
a
a picture,
picture because like the beast right there. I'm like, beast
dude. That's awesome. You got to throw that
window
picture up.
window display. Yeah, I might print it out. That'd be funny. All right, let's get to let's get to Dougie Fresh.
Get to the good stuff.
All right, so Doug came through like he said he would. Um, got what is that? The banner. Reading it
Mm-hmm.
backwards.
Ooh, he hit you
Um,
with the banner.
with the
What?
Vista Mix Limited, whatever that means. So it's like, uh, but yeah, landed. I actually like their little tag.
Yeah.
It's a good day. It's a good day to explore. Ironically, we had a guy, a gym teacher at my high school, who would always just say it's a good day to be a colonel because we were the Jameswood Colonels. He's like, it's a good
There you go.
day. Always a good day to be a colonel. I'm like, yes,
There you
right.
go.
It's a good day to explore. All right, we're gonna do it live.
Live
Oh
unboxing.
shoot, there's a whole story.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, he killed it
uh,
with the packaging, everything, man.
favorite sneaker look combined with the utility and comfort. Outdoor and last shoes. All right, just gonna get to it.
Woo!
This is fun, man.
Yeah. The banner
All
is
right.
cool. It's got all these different lacing options.
Yeah. Hold on. Okay.
Oh man, so
Out
cool.
the out the gate, it's a vulcanized shoe.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like 15 ounces.
Yeah, it's not a light shoe.
Not light. But you know what? Like pretty cool. This like rubber stuff is pretty interesting.
What I think is cool
Um,
is he the middle. If you go to the midfoot, he like
Yeah.
colored the Volk tape. Like it's like
Yeah.
half and half. It's pretty cool.
That was the first thing I noticed when I pulled them
Yeah.
out. Like, ah, colored Volk tape. I asked for these. I didn't realize he got this pair specifically, but I was like, yeah, I like the multicolor stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. When it comes to when I see shoes and they have lots of colors and they're just like poppy, that's the ones I go to. Even if
Yeah.
like they don't look the best on me,
Mm-hmm.
the person, I'm
Yeah.
just like, ah man. Like the Kobe 9. I was like,
Yeah.
that's the one for me. Like, don't give me any others.
You
Yeah.
have to, man. Yeah, I think Doug always does a really good job on colors. Like he when he launched, when he first was talking to me about it, this is before he had launched. It was kind of still like it was near the end of the concept phase, so he had samples and everything. He had his production run already figured out.
Yeah.
But before he launched, when he was talking to me about it, I was like, "Oh, you're gonna launch a brand that's gonna be so cool," expecting that like he'd have like two models or one model and like maybe one or two colorways, right? Nah,
Right.
this dude launched with three separate models,
Yep.
and the switchback and the banner um, have only one colorway each right now. But the overlook, which is like, I have one in my hand. They're kind of dirty because this is the first online purchase of a
Nice.
landed shoe.
Nice.
But the overlook, he has like six or seven colorways of.
Yeah.
So
Hey,
I'm
if you're
like
gonna if
seven
you're gonna
colorways, three styles. That's crazy.
yeah. If you're gonna do it, go big, we should do like
Exactly.
the standard Jake way of the 10 foot, 1 foot.
Mm-hmm.
Like pull it, bell
Yeah.
it back, pull it
First
all the way
read.
back.
First read is that color split, half
This
and
is your
half.
shelf. Yeah, I think that is the first read.
I think for me after that, second read is like that heel Volk tape.
That's what I'm saying. I'm seeing the down,
Mm-hmm.
down, over, little notch, and then around.
Yeah, dude.
That's my
Flex
that's
notch.
that's my yeah, it's kind of interesting. I didn't realize it was so angular before I
Mm-hmm.
like when I said I wanted them, I just said like, oh, like again, I saw color. Just that's all I saw. Um, so kind of interesting. And I bring it in. Yeah, for me, I think at least when I get into the 1 inch, I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I like the 1 foot thing, but it's like, am I seeing much else? I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the stitching starts to like show up.
Yeah, that little stitch bar detail that he has on every shoe.
Yeah, and
I'd
like
love to hear the
the
story about that because it's on every single shoe.
he's got like something on every yeah. Well,
Yeah, these
let's.
little. It's like a little stitch bar, like bar tack thing.
Oh yeah, and it's always like what is it 6?
5 lines, 6 lines, six
Yeah,
lines.
here's a 6.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's probably something then.
I think on my 1 inch view, I immediately was like, oh, the Volk tape is stitched down.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Hey. Yeah, I like
because he
that. I like.
said when they did initial testing, I think he said that like the Volk tape was delaminating and stuff like
Yeah.
faster than what he wanted for it to be a performance shoe. So they
Right.
stitched it down. It's pretty sweet.
That's cool. I think the thing that came out for me, which I if I had advice for him, it would be this. I think this Volk tape with the
Mm.
like the
The
lines
ribs.
on it
Mm-hmm.
is super dope. And he's got
Yeah.
it on the heel
Mm-hmm.
and he's got it on the 4 foot. I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, what if it just came all the way back
Yeah.
and you just hit with that like that? I mean, that would be
Stark.
my take because
Yeah.
I just love the lines are like maybe it's busy, maybe it's not, but it's just like oh man, it's so cool.
Before we do this though, can we do this? Can you
What?
put them on feet? Because I need you to experience how comfortable they
Oh
are.
gosh,
Because
like on
seriously, they are the most comfortable vulcanized shoe I've ever tried on in my entire life. And I worked for Vans for like 3 years.
yeah yeah
And like,
yeah.
like they're so comfy.
Um, well maybe do last little things like we got toe down. It's kind of
Ooh.
obscured by the rope lace thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's pretty legit
Yeah.
for a toe down. Pretty performancey. Um, I like this.
Yeah.
I like the color on the Landed.
Yeah.
Do they color it differently, or is this like a branded
Mine,
color?
that's like the branded color.
Yeah,
I have a collaboration product, so it was like him plus Ogden made. It's
yeah,
like pretty simple. I just wanted like something really simple,
yeah.
but mine is just black and white.
Nice. Yeah, I like this. I we haven't even turned it over yet. Oh shoot, it's the same.
Yeah.
Um, pretty robust, I would
Yeah.
say.
Like a little mini lug situation.
Yeah, it's really grippy too. So
Yeah.
it's like probably real gum or something, right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Um,
No gingerbread. Or wait, what was the one that you came up with at Brooks, you said?
biscuit.
Biscuit.
Yeah. The good good memory. But I don't know. The only thing throwing me is like the little lines underneath
Mm-hmm.
that just
Yeah,
kind
they're
of
like
flow all over the place.
topo lines underneath there.
Yeah. But
That's
man, they
pretty
go
cool.
in and out too, man. They're going all
Mm-hmm.
over the place. Just like the level of sections you would have to do to like
Mm-hmm.
get the lines in there to kind of because they wave.
Mm-hmm.
Like they
Yeah.
wave all over the place.
It's like a topographic pattern underneath there.
Yeah, like how do you know which one's going to be 3 mil and which one's 1 mil and which one's when
Mm-hmm.
it transitions to 5 mil? Like
Yeah, exactly.
that's crazy. Yeah, and there's little bits all over the place. I like, man, I think there's a power in color dams too,
Yeah.
because that Landed branding is like,
Boom.
pink.
Yeah.
Yeah, like stands out.
Absolutely.
Um,
I love
pretty
his
light on
logo
the
too.
RP textures. Pretty,
Mm-hmm.
pretty light.
Yeah, he did like
Um,
a. Is it like a on yours? Is it like a hexagon in the middle on the midfoot? Oh, I meant like on the tape. My bad. Because he's got a
oh,
texture on the tape too.
yeah, yeah. Yep, yep. That's pretty cool. Just enough, to keep it going.
Yeah.
Kind of a suede on the Iro's nice.
Yeah, I was
Canvas
gonna
feels
say
good.
I need to go up and pick up another one. My favorite right now. I love the switchback. Switchback is
Yeah.
sweet.
What I do like, what I'm interested in too, is like the transition into like full like rubber.
Mm-hmm.
It's very luggy, and then
Mm-hmm.
you get to the toe off and the heel, and um it's solid.
Yeah. I wonder if he
And
did
that's
that
a
for
solid.
durability.
That's solid rubber, man.
Yeah, dude.
That is like
It's gonna last you a while.
it's probably 6 mil, maybe
Mm-hmm.
more. That's why it's heavy. See all this rubber all over it.
Mm-hmm.
Which is again, you kind of expect it.
Yeah.
All
I was gonna
right.
say
I don't
something
know
that,
if I want to do this.
dude, it's they're so comfy. Just
I,
slip in and like stand up and just try it.
but then
I've got to
people will
get
see me.
I have to get you to do this because they're so comfortable. I'm gonna
um,
hype it up and you're gonna be like, they actually are not that.
oh man, jokes on you. It's like I'm not wearing pants. Yeah. Well, I'm in carpet, so it's like it's not. I don't know if like,
You have a
man,
little
dude,
tap dance floor for a Volk shoe.
dude, I like it. It is like extremely heavy, but I like it.
They're solid. Like when you put them on your feet, they're just like solid. They're so
Yeah,
good. I love using mine for riding my bike. I like rode my bike for 3 hours today with them.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pumped, man. And like everything from this colorway is like color.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, man, I'm excited to have these. Shout out, Doug.
Shout out Doug. Something
Oh,
that he didn't mention in the your guys' episode was that he like did some time at Black Diamond,
yeah,
um, working on product for Black Diamond, and I think like that like outdoor mentality, that like almost like approach shoe aesthetic comes
yep,
across like in all of them in a really good way. They look so good.
man, these are awesome.
Shout out to Doug.
Doug.
Go to landedfootwear.com and pick yourself up a pair right now.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty well made for being like, brands, I don't know, first, second, third shoe, whatever. Um,
Yeah.
it's pretty baller. We'll keep that. We'll keep these up. We'll keep them around for sure. I might have to baby them a little bit to keep them in the episodes, but um, yeah, super cool, man. Ah, like I said, I love shoes. This is
And
great.
we love the people who make them.
I'm gonna walk. I'm gonna do all. I'm gonna try not to wear these out, but I'm probably gonna wear them a bit. Um, when it's free, man, you can't help it. I just gotta like run around. Sweet, man, Doug, you rock, man. Good luck. Keep going. Um, so good. Again, another person I think that's like just trying to change it up.
Yeah.
Like um, this industry is. I mean, it's tough sometimes. Like people, I talked about this with somebody this week. Is like it feels like people have to be gatekeepers in the
Yeah.
footwear world. Like
Mm-hmm.
like you can't come in here. You have to like earn your stripes and all this stuff. And like, I love people who are just kind of like nah, and then seeing an avenue, seeing a gap, shooting the gap, and like
There's there's something to be said for like I feel like sometimes when people gatekeep, they feel like everything has to be the same for everyone. So like I had to
yep,
struggle, so you need to struggle also. But
yep,
there was something that I heard this week that was like essentially it's like when you have the fortunate opportunity to get to where you want, the best thing that you can do is get to where you want and help open the door for other people.
right,
So like if I want to see this grow, we talked about this in our first episode where we talked about networking.
yep,
Like if I want to see this grow, if I want to see people really get excited about it, and if I want to have conversations with Jake over a podcast about how stoked we are on shoes and how they're designed and how they're made, why would I ever try to get in the way of someone who wants to build that? You know.
yeah.
So
It's I'm the kind of guy too. Like I greenlight everything.
yeah,
And when I see like even at work, when I see like the first samples come in, I'm like, well, that's
send
done. Like,
run it.
that's done.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Winner, winner. Like because I know the effort that went into the shoe. Like I don't want to be the guy where when it comes in, be like, well, unless it's like, and you can tell, like
Yeah,
if it's phoned in, and you're just doing the thing to get it out, which I think happens a lot in I'd say corporate setting footwear.
yeah, 100%.
You're sending out stuff that maybe isn't your best. We just talked about that. Like Tinker, probably like he sent out maybe something wasn't his best thing.
Yeah,
Happens to us all. But like you just know, right? But like when I see someone put in like the work and then I know they're like trying really hard to like kill it. When that shoe comes back, like I'm out here trying to celebrate
yeah,
the effort,
yeah,
like because
100%.
hours and hours and hours and hours of your life is dedicated to this thing. And it's kind of silly because
Yeah,
it's foam
and
and canvas, It's like,
to be honest too, it's
yeah,
like it's so easy to be a critic.
yep,
It's way harder to be constructive.
yep,
So like if you follow like the perfect critique format, which is like this is great, you did a great job on this
yep,
and this, would you consider like I'm looking at when you talked about when we you did it when we opened up the landed shoes, right? You were like, dude, these are awesome. The colors are amazing. That
yeah,
read from far away. He's like, but then you said, maybe if it was me, I would have like taken this like really awesome rubber and like run it all the way back.
yeah,
And that would have been, oh yeah, that would have been cool to see. But it wasn't like, nah, man, he should have done this. It was
yeah. But that's the
like,
thing. And when I'm saying that, at the same time, it's like, yeah, that would be cool aesthetic wise. But when I said it, I'm like, but then I think you get into like an aggressive sphere
mm,
where like when you cut it off, you have a little bit of a break,
mm-hmm,
like, um, Whereas like I don't know, I lean like probably heavy handed.
Mm.
Um, I mean, just look at the shoes I've done. Like it's kind of like it's heavy, right? And like I go wild on it. Like if I because I would hate to I don't know. I get in my head where I'm thinking I don't want to leave anything on the table.
Yeah.
Um and if I'm using a material and it can do something, I want to like do it to the maximum. Like
Yeah.
if you look at that Hyperion back there, like I went like, oh cool, it can do dashes and graphics really well everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everywhere. Like
and
which
and
is
that's like the
yeah.
creativity you bring as a designer, right? That's why different designers have
Yeah.
different perspective. That's why shoes come out different every year, it's like
Yeah.
it's the beauty of it. It's the
And you
beauty
can
of it.
tell like, when they flip designers and stuff happens, stuff changes, and that's the nature of the biz.
Yeah, exactly.
I do like the visual cues, like the you can tell he like got considered on some of the things where like he put notches in the eyebrow.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um stuff to bend, and that's all. It's all good. Oh, we don't need to like dive down a little any deeper than that, but you're right. Like um being constructive is like, I think, I don't know, maybe it's just like the way I was raised, or maybe it's like something that I picked up along the way, that it's just like I don't want to be the resistance guy, because I think there's like hundreds of people who will just say like, "Are you sure you want to do that? I don't think that looks the best." And like, they will shoot
Yeah.
your crap down so fast. Like I just want to like celebrate it, because I do think there's a lot of work that goes and gets shot down that would have just
Hmm.
been fine in the market. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely. Hmm.
and so yeah, it sucks. And I don't know.
Well, it's the worst to
Yeah.
get the negative critique or the negative feedback and then like have nowhere to go from there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
I'm grateful you gave me a critique, but then there's
Right.
no collaborative way to solve it. So it's like, hey, you had that perspective. Tell me why you had that perspective.
Right.
And maybe, you don't have to give me the answer. I can come up with the answer, but if you give me a reason why,
Yeah.
then it will help me. It's like I said, it's way easier to be a critic and just say it sucked. And then if someone
Yep.
says why, if you're the person that's just gonna be like, I don't know, I just didn't like it. Then it's
Yep.
like, all right, dude. Then that's you, man. Like,
Yep. And it's also fine where like people will come at you with like all sorts of like feedback and stuff, and you can decide what you want to do with it. It's
yeah,
like, but some people come back and you have to adjust. Like,
yeah, of course,
but like if your coworker comes up to you, your buddy who's a designer is just like, I think I would have done this and this. You can be like, I agree, or you can be like, meh, that doesn't apply. Like,
yeah,
it
yeah,
doesn't do anything. Like,
right.
you're not on this project. Um, but yeah, sweet. So go landed. Thanks, Doug. I want to clip this out. I think we'll do like just a rip out of this section and put it um, as like our own little landed post, because I think it's just awesome. I hope everyone does go to landed. I think Doug said if you listen to this podcast, hit him up and he'll hook you up too. So a lot of people didn't make it to the end of that podcast to hear that. A lot of people won't make it to the end of this one to hear it as well. So I will clip it
Only
out.
only special people get the hookup.
That's right. We're trying to change it. So and that's how footwear is, man. People hand it out once you get in, once you get through the doors. It's we love to blast our stuff out for sure. Um, man, I mean that's almost a solid episode right there. We could just do this. We can talk about it. It might go on longer. I hope Colin has the time.
All the time in the world.
if Colin if Colin just dips out, we'll know. Like he's like he just hangs up. All right, I'm out. Uh, but no. So after all that, so we've talked about Pegasus Plus, yada yada. Landed, awesome stuff. We even talked about critique, which I think would be an awesome episode, but we've already covered it right now. Um, so yeah, so today, like this week, I had someone ask me again, industrial designer was like, "Hey, Um, we might part one, part two this episode because this is the part I really wanted to get to because I think it's going to be super interesting to hear your perspective too, and even to hear a development perspective. Once I can get a developer to jump on, but basically he was like, he's an industrial designer, he's working on industrial design stuff. Graduate of the BYU program, shout out, one of the fellow BYU guys. Me and him are having a conversation, and he just says like, um, you've been in industrial design, and a lot of times like you do some of the development as well, like you're really hands on. And
Yeah.
he kind of was just like, well, what's the difference then between design and development? And I was like, oh, like actually a great question, and it's actually easier than you might think. And as I like kind of thought about it more and more and more, I was like, oh man, that's I've been thinking about this for a while. Not that I like was thinking about like the answer to his question for very long, because I did kind of break it down, but um I'll offer those insights in a second. But what I thought was like when I worked at Bags, when I was doing bags, before I got into footwear to like just pay the bills, I was designing handbags, and I did everything like
Yeah.
color, design, development. I talked to the Asia developers. I, you know, got the revisions, worked on the revisions, sent things back, really like handled everything like door to door, right?
Yeah.
And it got me thinking like once I got into footwear, there's like teams of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wonder if like the genesis of this, like now there's color, there's design, there's development, there's leadership, there's like top to bottom. Um, and I was just kind of like, I wonder if the genesis of this was like a footwear designer just being like, I can't do all of this.
Yeah.
I guess like it could have been a developer too. Like
Mm-hmm.
someone had an idea for a shoe, was designing it, was coloring it, and was making all these decisions. It was basically just like once you get past a certain level of SKUs, you're like, I cannot do everything to the
Mm-hmm.
level that I think the market requires,
Yeah.
especially today. I think Dougie Fresh is maybe doing all of it right now.
Oh yeah.
He might be, but yeah. So it's like I think it gets to the point where you're just like, there's a level of talent, and I think we see this bear out in the industry now. Like, there's a level of talent that you can get like so much deeper if you're just focused on color all day every day.
Yeah.
There's a level of ability you can get to by just focusing on design. And then I think further there's like a level above it where you're in strategy mode.
Yeah.
And I think that's where like leadership starts to come in, where I think there's people who have been around long enough that they can understand the strategy of having colors here, colors there, designs here, designs there, aesthetics that are for this shoe, for that
Mm-hmm.
shoe, family of products, blah blah blah. And then development at the same time has the same situation where like there are developers who literally like the designer is like the box of material aesthetics, um, midsole rubber aesthetics, um, grabbing a brief from. And again, it's another part. Again, like I was saying, like there's portions of like this thing, like you can only understand the consumer so much. Like if you're a
Yeah.
designer, you're trying to do all of it. Like, wouldn't it be better to just have an expert like consumer person? And so you
Yeah.
pick that person out. They write the briefs. They see the need in the market, and they
Yeah.
pass that down through and how the brand can like identify that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I was telling him, I was like, so I think the difference between like regular industrial design and anywhere else, like in shoes, is like pretty much like everyone's like kind of boxed in. Like
Mm-hmm.
color never comes over and says, "Hey, why don't you try like moving this line over here so it'll block a little bit better?" And
Right.
like development never comes over and like, tries to influence design. And
Mm-hmm.
in the same way, like in rare occasions, like no one goes over to development and says, hey, I think you should do your job this way. Like it's very
Right.
like in terms of like um position wise, it's very siloed and that like we don't like the bleed over, which
Mm-hmm.
is like kind of it's kind of interesting. I had like a story I told him. I was like, when I first, I mean, when I was like coming out of the gates in the footwear, like really pumped, really
Mm-hmm.
excited. I was like, hey, um, I made like my shoe, made the like line art and everything. They're like, yeah, you got to make this line art to like give it over to the color team so they can color the shoe and, you know, make these samples. I like made a colorway and I was like, hey, here's my line art. Here's the colorway. And that colorway did not show up. And I remember just being like, almost like flipping tables. Like, I remember
Mm-hmm.
just being like super mad, like, because I thought I was like big man on campus. Like, hey, like this is my shoe. This is my thing. This is what we do. And
Mm-hmm.
I went over to the color team and I was like, hey, where's my shoe at? Like, what's going on? And they're like, you don't get to decide that. And I was like, what? They're like, no, like like
Like
color is not like yours. Like that's
it's
not
not
your
your
thing.
job.
Like
Yeah.
it's not your job. And I was
Yeah.
like, stop. Like I just did this whole shoe. I colored it a certain way. I used the seasonal colors. I used like whatever we
Mm-hmm.
had and like I'm telling you like this is what I wanted to see. And they're like, yeah, well if you want like a special thing, like you can request it and like maybe we'll do it. Like
Hit you
it
with
was
the
like
put a request in.
yeah, it was like a very like healthy way of shutting me down. You know,
Yeah.
like it was like, yeah, well, you know, if you want something like that, like you got to let us know, and like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we'll play with it, and we'll let you know if you can have it or not. It's like,
I mean,
dang,
this is all of this isn't to say that they're like there isn't in some companies there is cross functional kind of collaboration. Like you're always going to
right?
be like let's say you do a couple lines or something and then like your developer hits you and is like, hey, I'm sorry, like the tooling required to hit this line that you want is gonna exceed the budget that we have for this model, so like
Yep,
we have to figure something out.
yep,
They'll never hit you with the like you have to lower the line so that we can make it cheaper. They'll say we can't do it like that, it needs to be something cheaper or something within this guide frame, that and then
yeah,
that kind of collaboration happens. It allows you to do your job while allowing them to do theirs well as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I mean, the comparison I like to make for most people that most people really understand is like the what I see design and development as is like architect versus builder. It's
Mm,
like they're both equally important. We need beautiful buildings to be designed and created, and then we also need them to be made physically.
yep,
Otherwise, they're just all conceptual.
yep,
So just like how an architect will work with a builder to make sure that they can actually build this thing and that it could be architecturally stable and in California withstand earthquakes and blah blah blah,
yep,
right? Be optimally facing the sun versus not in different seasons. Like this is all stuff that they'll collaborate on. But
yeah,
Frank Gehry is not out there with with a hammer and a drill
yep,
building this, building the Disney concert hall. Like,
right,
um, and so it's very much a collaborative effort, but each
yes,
person plays their role.
yeah. And I like I was saying like I remember I wanted to say this because I remember saying like, oh, like, well, we're all pretty siloed. Like, we don't like to step on each other's toes, and we don't like to, you know, tell each other what to do or how to do it. And I think design also is like the most visual of all the
Mm-hmm.
roles. So like, it's
Mm-hmm.
easy to like look at design and be like, you know, look to see changes happen, and design's the only place where it can happen, type of a thing. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of that, like where you know like we're the ones moving the lines like
Yeah.
that's what happens, right? Like that's the whole thing. We know how to use the programs, we know how to move the things, we know we're like building the shoe visually, and then like the developer then makes it, right? And so I kind of told him like, well, literally like development is like trying to learn how to make shoes, that like they want to be expert makers. They want to
Mm-hmm.
know, they want to look at your drawing, look at your design, and immediately think, I've got to put this here, that there, this stitch here. And that's how I communicate it to the factory, get it efficiently done,
Mm-hmm.
um, for, yeah, I guess, price and costing matters as well.
Yeah.
They kind of hold all of that in, and they just want to be master builders to the point where some developers like go live in Asia for extended periods of time.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
yeah, like I've seen a couple footwear developers like live in Asia for 6 months. I've seen a couple do for 2 years, 3 years. They'll go and just like become masters, like
Right.
um, because you
They should.
become invaluable. Like
Yeah.
if you're bringing that knowledge over there, because they in Asia, they're the like the true masters, right? And so if you are taking that and you're bringing it over, you become like just like awesome. Like
Right. Right.
yeah, like and currently like I am working with developers who are that like at that level, and it's a breath of fresh air for real to like have problem solvers who have kind of seen everything, probably
Right.
way more problems than I've ever seen, and then build our shoe. Like, and it definitely becomes our thing. And the other thing I was gonna say, like, once I said like we were all siloed, I was like, well, that is until I say, what do you think of this? Like,
Right. Right.
like, um, because there is that moment, right? Because again, design is so visual that you at some point you do put that down, like you do ask people, because people are like my developer buys shoes, like we all like kind of have that thing. And
Right.
so sometimes I will put it out and be like, would really like to hear your thoughts. Like
Like, would you buy this?
yeah, like on
Yeah.
what we're doing. Like, is this concept good, is it not? Especially at
Hmm.
Brooks, we're like those teams are super tight, super close to the product. Um, I could tell, like, I would put a shoe up and just hear silence. And just be like, I'm like, oh, like, so
So
guys,
it's
tell me
like
what you
that.
think. Yeah. um, so I think like um, it's not as silos as I'm trying to make it sound, but in terms of like getting, like when it comes to like getting the things done, specifically like role wise, like you are responsible for these things. Um, and this is how you progress. And like it doesn't make sense for you to venture into development land to progress your career. If like you're a designer, you're handling like the storytelling, the design, the
Right.
lines, the emotion, um, and then development is the builder,
Right.
like is the expert, knows the ins and outs. And even there's like another level of materials. There's now material designers who
Right.
know the ins and
Right.
outs of materials. Like all these things that you couldn't rationally hold in your brain is like a function now.
Yeah.
Um, and they again they all look at it, all pivot, it all comes right to a head at
Hmm.
design.
Yep.
Um, which is crazy. Anyway, so like as I was breaking it down, I'm like that would be interesting to talk about, like what each role is getting their expertise in, like
Yeah. When
um
I think when you think about it too, um, it goes hand in hand with what you were saying, right? Like that when you're allowed to just focus on one thing, you can go so much deeper.
mm,
But then, even separate to this, like when I worked at Purple, we were really trying to like we got a development team. We were really trying to kind of like onboard them and pass things off, and things were like a little rocky for a little bit because the industrial design group had like handled all of it. We were
mm,
we were designers and developers. We were doing development work, working on stuff that was about to go to market, and then also trying to focus on like the future. And what
mm,
ended up happening was like because we were so focused on, I mean, any developer will tell you it takes a lot of time and effort and communication to get things onboarded, and like it's a lot of time is just trial and effort, it's samples, it's like changing and tweaking these things to like make sure that it's correct.
right.
It takes so much time and effort, and really the way that these timelines are working at these different companies, like there's just no time for a designer to like be talking to a manufacturer trying to get something that's like about to release figured out while also trying to live 2 years in the future in their brain, designing for 2 years in the future.
Yeah.
Um, like it was just so hard to be able to do that and then also work on it. It's like, whoa, wait, whoa, whoa, what's going on? Like,
Yep.
aren't we working on this concept project for 2 years ahead? And then like things are like kind of cross and overlap, so things
Yep.
like bleed over. It's like when you have a development team and a design team, it really allows the design team to make the concept, make the work with the developer to kind of get it figured out, and then the developer can run with it with their teams and
Right.
get things made and on boats and where they need to be, and then
Yep.
allows the designer offloaded time to go, okay, now I got to focus 18 months ahead now again.
Yep.
You know,
And like again, you add the depth to that. It's like, and then imagine there's like material quality that you need to hit. That's even beyond what a developer can do.
yeah,
Like, so they send it over to materials so that they
yep,
can like work their magic on knowing
exactly. And
all
then
of the
like
different.
there's also
Uh,
like costing engineers, right? So it's like
yep.
you have someone who's focused on if you can hit the KPI of cost and
Yep.
where you can and can't. In some places, that's the developer's job to manage the BOM. Then they
Yep.
work with a costing engineer to like make sure that things are right. It's like it's all in service of the business. It's all in service of the consumer. And
Right.
each role has an important key function to play.
Yep. And, yeah, and it's like it just gets to the roles. It's like roles and responsibilities, and man, that's great what you said. It's like it is impossible, like to again have enough time to have these meaningful conversations and to have them well.
Yeah,
Like if you're doing all of them, um, and so just like breaking it out and like those people just becoming experts in those things again kind of makes for the best product in the long run. Um,
yeah,
and it's, again, probably why it happens, right? And again, if you're working on like one shoe and you're Doug and you're working on one, and that's you're just trying to launch and doing all those things, that's probably a crazy amount of work, like
yeah.
insane amount of things to like think about. Like I'm imagining he did the box and the tissue paper, and that was all probably a nightmare. And like and
He's
like
doing graphics. He did the graphic design work,
yeah,
And when you're a business
laces,
owner, like you're
yeah,
building the website, he's shooting content, he's doing
yeah.
everything.
Oh my gosh.
Um,
It's a miracle this is even sitting here.
right.
Like,
Exactly.
yeah,
It's just so much work to like physically metastasize something.
yeah. And so it's just like again, like I just want to like emphasize that as like so when stuff like this shows up, you're like think about the city of people that like went through like building this.
Hmm.
Um and I know for a fact I did not pick, like thicknesses of TPU. I did not pick um you know, I did pick the depths of molds and like depths and stuff, but like I didn't pick these colors. Um, the material package for the upper was handed to me. They said, "Here's the material we're using for this shoe.
Hmm.
Design it however you want, but this is it. Like this, and it's coming through this vendor. So we're gonna be
Hmm.
working with this vendor, doing this. Like this is it. Like make it as good as possible. And then you can add stuff here and there and do whatever you want, but like adding treatments and things. But
Right.
as far as like vendors and like larger, broader things, like, supercritical foam, like that's coming from one place. This is how you're going to design into it.
Right.
Like it's kind of a controlled environment in some ways, but then in those boxes is where design lives to kind of create kind of the future, something that's
Hmm.
never been seen before.
Exactly.
Um, designed to designed to surprise and all those mantras that we live by or whatever.
Exactly.
Anyway, so I hope all that makes sense. Like I think that's not as comprehensive maybe as I'd like it to be. I kind of think there's a space to like grab like almost like um job postings and just be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
Here's what we do. Here's
like
what we do.
design's doing this and this and this and this, and it looks like dev is doing this and this and this, and color's
Yeah.
doing that. Um, but it all ends up being like, man, it's definitely all necessary and has definitely been, um, again, I still wonder the genesis of this. Like,
Hmm.
where did it come to the point where someone was like, I cannot do this by myself. I
Yeah.
need, I need to make many people do this.
Like I
It
said, I
seems
mean,
like,
at Purple,
yeah,
like the way that it happened was like we were just like we were constantly getting pulled to like current timeline stuff, and then weren't focusing on the future,
yeah,
you know. And then we were like, we need a development team, and that's what happened.
yeah. Well, there you go. It's like, yeah, and when you only focus on the here and now, it's like an old adage, like you sacrifice or you, sorry, you like cut off the future to serve the present or something like that.
Hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
like if it's like when you get to a certain point and with again, this will go into finance, but when you get to a certain point with money, like in your life, you don't have to worry about like just today, right? You can start to
Right.
like worry about weeks, months,
Hmm.
years.
Yeah.
Some people like retirement age, like
Hmm.
you've worked long enough that now you have this, and like it like builds on itself. So, but if you are so bogged down that like all you can think about is like how do I get bread today, like like literally that's like where your brain is at, like, or how do I get, like, you start again, go back to that survivor thing at the very beginning. It's like I have to have fire and water, like, and that's all you can do. That takes up the whole day sometimes for the like
Yeah.
especially on the survivor show. So it's like, and not to be like unempathetic to like situations in the world that where this exists, but like it's like, yeah, you, the future gets cut off to like pay the present. And
Hmm.
um that's so interesting that that's how it happened at Purple. It's like I can imagine that being the situation where you're like, how do I get into more product if I'm constantly bogged down with the product that I'm
Yeah.
shipping out right now?
Yeah.
Like, how do I serve the customer in a year when I am putting all my resources in today
Yeah.
to today?
It's like I
Um,
can't get ahead.
yeah,
If I can't get us ahead, then we're constantly going to be doing this, and like
yeah,
you just need more help.
yeah. Um, but it's great, and that's that is how the footwear world turns, my friends. Like, and let me tell you, that's there. It's not like you just get one developer. You get like four, and it's not like you get like one, material designer. You get five. You don't get one color. You get two or three. It's like you need. It quickly racks up the cash, like to like build a system, and
Right. Right.
and a way of working, and it's hard. But it's, again, it's all to like put out this stuff, and man, we love it. All right, I think Colin's yawning. I think we're all dying over
I think we're
here.
good. We did it. This is
I mean,
a
like,
jam packed episode. We did a lot of good stuff in here.
I'm sitting here like, do I split this thing? Because my gosh, I cannot, like, even I'm starting to fatigue, and this is the dream. This is my dream. Change the footwear conversation. Have a place where people can go where they know they're getting reliable footwear information on how this whole shoe thing goes down. Well, there you have it. So maybe we'll break it down. Maybe we might talk about this again and maybe do like a legit informational like
Yeah. It would be good to have
line.
like a sit down with like a we'll have a whole triad on the podcast.
Yeah.
We'll have them talk about each of the roles.
Yeah. I wonder who I can pull in from the product line world, but
Yeah.
I'll find somebody. But
I've got a
at any
guy. I've
rate,
got a guy
like,
from Oakley. I've got a guy from Oakley we can maybe
yeah,
hit in. Yeah.
yeah, it's like, it's just, and what's crazy is when you listen to them talk about their role,
Hmm.
like, I'm kind of like, Look,
Yeah, what do you do?
I'm I'm a nice guy, like, but I can admit that I don't remember everything that everyone does. I think
Hmm.
Colin, even you were talking about development better than I was talking about development. Um, and I've been doing this for a long. I can even see it in someone in the comments going in and being like, "Did you hear that guy? He's been in footwear for like 8 years, and that's what you think development does." It's like, okay, like I understand that this is not the place where I'm going to be doing like a complete teardown of it, what a developer does, but I think I spoke well when I said they're going to become the masters of footwear making. Like
Yeah, 100%.
that, I think that serves them well. Like,
Yeah.
um, you know, because you have to be at a point where I can draw a line. You could be like, that is 100% detrimental to this shoe. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
please do not do that.
Don't
Like,
do that.
yeah, like there needs to be that level of expertise around. Um, and so and I'd say the same thing about every function, right? Like if I do a shoe, I would hope that color can take it and imagine it in a million different ways. And sure, I can like lend what I think a nice blocking would be, but then I know every color designer I've seen has created blockings and possibilities that I have not thought of, again because of the level of depth.
Hmm.
And then the same, I think, with product line, with knowing the consumer. I was instructed as an industrial designer how to be empathetic to consumers, but I don't think I could get out and like really understand,
Hmm.
you know, someone like, I mean, Olympians running, world record times or,
Right.
getting in the mindset of those people or the 100K, trail runner,
Yeah.
like that's a whole, I mean, people write books on this stuff,
Right.
like, and so someone needs to take the time. And I would love to be that person because I think it would influence design in a healthy way.
Hmm.
But I don't think it's just like you just don't have all the time.
Yeah.
Um, so giving someone time and space to like empathize with somebody and then try their best to distill that down in a brief for a product is ultra helpful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, so there you go. I don't know. Colin, you have anything else to say?
That's tech
Um,
packs are due, baby.
yeah, we are. Whew, uh, we're doing this, man, and we're gonna keep on it. We're gonna keep banging this drum in this corner of the podcast world um, until people take notice. Certainly, I will. Like, I think Colin's in on it. We're all in.
We're all in.
Yeah.
And you should be all in too. Hit subscribe, hit like,
Yep.
share it with your friends, post it on LinkedIn,
Yeah.
post it to your Facebook, show your grandma.
Do all that and then hit up Landed. Um,
Yes.
hit up
Hit up
Doug.
our homie Doug.
Yep. And get some fun vulcanized shoes that, man, are designed by a
One of the
guy in,
coolest
in
people.
in Utah, right? Just
Yeah.
just a normal guy, just trying to live his life. I think that's just alone is a good enough story to get on his website and help him out. Um, well, yeah. So hey, Colin already said it. Like and subscribe. Tech Packs We Do is produced by me,
Yes,
and
sir.
and me alone at this point, and we will make this bigger, and we will keep pushing it. Also, just remember we have Dan coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be fun,
And we'll see you next
and
year.
and we will see you guys next year. Happy New Year. Stay safe. All 40 of you, which is probably 39 because Collins won. Uh,
I'll still
stay
watch.
safe. Come back. Join us. We're going to keep pushing. It seems like we can turn a podcast out of anything. So we love talking shoes, man. And so we'll keep doing it. All right. Peace until next time.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. All the Marys. And, we will see you. Happy New Year. 2025, I think, is going to be a huge year for footwear. It's going to be a fun time. All right. Well, See you next time. All right. Bye.